Near the village of Vishnupur, there is a beautiful forest where a small village is located. There, a boy named Raghav lived, diligent and honest. However, he always felt unhappy because he had a habit of comparing himself to others. When he saw his friend Karan always topping the class, he wished he were just as smart. When he looked at his wealthy neighbors, he longed for riches. Even when he saw someone running fast, he wished he could do the same. Gradually, Raghav's life was consumed by disappointment. He lost focus on his studies and gradually lost interest in working. He always felt inferior to others. These negative thoughts led him to believe that he could never succeed like the people he constantly compared himself to. One day, a renowned sage visited the village. He was known for his deep wisdom and ability to enlighten people about the truths of life. Upon hearing about the sage, Raghav decided to seek him out and share his feelings. He said, "Gurudev, I always work hard, but whenever I see someone who is more talented, wealthier, or more successful than me, I feel sad. I think I will never be like them. Please help me overcome this feeling." The sage smiled and said, "Come to the oldest tree in the village tomorrow morning. You will find the answer to your problem there." Raghav found this strange but agreed, trusting that the sage must have a reason for his words. The next morning, just as the sun was rising, Raghav arrived at the old tree in the village. The sage was already there and smiled at him. He pointed to the forest and asked, "What do you see?" Raghav looked around and replied, "Gurudev, I see many different types of trees. Some are very tall, while others are short. Some bear sweet fruit, while others do not." The sage nodded and said, "If a mango tree compares itself to a coconut tree and complains that it is not as tall, or if a coconut tree feels sad because it does not bear sweet fruit like the mango tree, would that make sense?" Raghav shook his head. "No, Gurudev, that would be foolish." The sage smiled and said, "That is the truth of life. Everyone has their own journey and unique value, just like the trees in the forest." Seeing that Raghav was still pondering, the sage led him to a nearby pond. He pointed at the fish swimming and a bird soaring in the sky, then asked, "If the fish started complaining that it cannot fly like the bird, would that be fair?" Raghav shook his head and replied, "No, Gurudev. The fish was born to swim in the water, while the bird was created to fly in the sky. Each has its own unique ability." The sage smiled and said, "Then why do you want to be someone else? You also have strengths that others do not. Everyone has their own journey, and comparing yourself to others only brings suffering." Upon hearing this, Raghav suddenly realized an important truth. Instead of comparing himself to others, he should focus on his own abilities. After listening to the sage's teachings, Raghav awakened. He understood that everyone has their own strengths, and comparing himself to others only led to misery. From that moment, he decided to stop comparing and focus on developing himself. As Raghav started working according to his abilities and strengths, he became more confident and happier. He no longer cared about others being more talented or successful than him. Gradually, with hard work and determination, Raghav built a stable career and became an inspiration to the entire village. When people asked him about the secret to his success, he simply smiled and said, "If a fish tries to fly, it will always fail. But if it hones its swimming skills, it can master the entire ocean." Comparing yourself to others only leads to disappointment and a loss of self-belief. Everyone has their own journey and strengths, just like the sun and the moon. both shine in their own time. Instead of wishing to be someone else, focus on developing your own abilities. When you recognize your value and potential, you will find the path to success. As Raghav learned, if a fish tries to fly, it will always fail. But if it hones its swimming skills, it can master the entire ocean. So, cherish yourself, focus on your strengths, and carve your own path to success.